Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Simon and I talk about everything to do with electric transport. So today I'm going to tell you I suppose my electric journey over the last 3 years, and specifically in terms of charging. I have and still have not, over 3 years, have not got home charging. So everything I do is public or work charging. So I'm going to tell you how easy or difficult it is and why charging publicly isn't really as bad as what everyone makes out. So I've been driving my EV, my BMW i3, for the last 3 years. I don't have home charging. I live in a block of flats. I wasn't able to convince my landlord to go with a charger or a set of chargers for the property. So I have been publicly charging for 3 years. So what's that been like? So I would say the majority of the time it's been almost 90–95% absolutely fine. I tend to use whatever chargers are out there. I predominantly use Polar, which I have a Polar card, an RFID card, or I use Insta360 or what's now called Osprey, in terms of rapids. But to be honest, I tend to use destination charging, which are the sort of 7 kilowatt chargers where I can. So if I've gone somewhere and I'm parking somewhere, I try and look for one where it's got one of those where I can charge while I do wherever I'm in that location to do, and you come back. Prime example, if I'm going skateboarding in Cambridge, I'll go to Long Stanton Park and Ride. They have 2 7 kilowatt chargers there. I'll put the car on for 2–3 hours, come back, car will be full. Happy days, another 120 plus miles. So that's kind of the idea of destination charging. I also use destination charging 2 minutes down the road from where I live in a multi-story car park, and I charge there. I leave that, you get 3 hours of free parking, and you have to pay for charging, so I can charge there. There's also some Polar 7 kilowatt chargers as well opposite in Waitrose, so I use those. Now when I'm going to work, I'm quite lucky in that there is charging at work outside my office. Now I still have to pay for that. That's not free. It's on par with the 7 kilowatt charging you have in public for Polar, for instance. So I pay for that as well. So generally that's what I try and go. If I'm going on longer journeys or I'm short of time, then I'll fire a rapid. Now these are getting more and more sort of predominant over the country as we go, and I would say from where I was 3 years ago to where it is now, it's night and day. You know, when I first got my car, it was very limited, 1 or 2 rapids around near where I lived and nothing else. Then 7 kilowatt charging came in and more rapids came in, and you've only got to see Twitter for the announcements from the likes of Insta360 and Osprey and Polar, how many chargers they're actually putting in, and at great costs, I might add. These chargers, the rapids, aren't cheap. So I use all sorts of charging. Yes, I do have probably still a barrage of RFID cards. I tend to use them less. I tend to use my Polar or my New Motion card. Now my New Motion card gets generally used at work or Shell. So I use that, and then obviously my Polar card for rapids and 7 kilowatt chargers. But then everything else in between, you know, the one that I'm using at the moment is an Osprey, and that is a rapid and it's contactless. So it's nice and easy. You go up, you tap your contactless card, or in my case, the phone, plug it in, charge, good to go. So really for me, in the 3 years I've been driving electric cars, from somebody that had never driven an electric car before or had that with the same range anxiety as people get or people talk about, that lasted for about, I would say, 2-3 weeks, and then after that you get used to it. But even back then it was mainly because the charging infrastructure wasn't there. That's not the case now, and regardless of what you see in the papers and the news and various TV programs, the infrastructure is getting better on literally on a daily basis, and it is really good. I have had no problems driving up and down the country. If you want to see an example of that, me and Gary from EV Musings podcast done that, and I'll put a link up here so you can check that out as well. That was a really good journey up and down the country, and it just shows that you can do those sorts of trips without too much effort. Yes, if you had a Tesla, you can use the Tesla supercharging network and all the rest of it, and I love Teslas. However, it's not a problem if you don't. I've got an i3 that does a maximum of about 120 miles, and I've traveled almost to the end of the country and back. So, and I do regular journeys of sort of 120 to 200 miles, you know, and it's just a stop. It's a stop, a charge, and, you know, grab a coffee or something like that. So really, bottom line and summary is, over 3 years I've not had too many problems. Yes, there's been occasional ones where they haven't been working, or I've had to phone the services to actually get it done. Predominantly, unfortunately, Ecotricity has always been the bane of my life and haven't always worked when I need to. Polar seems to be pretty good. They tend to work. Instavolt have been pretty much flawless, and you'll just see more and more of this, and you'll also see more and more hubs of multiples coming up as well, which we've already started to see across the country. So yeah, 3 year summary, it's been absolutely fine. I've never been stuck without charge. I've been low and I've gone to find one, but I've always got there. I've never run out. I've never been on the back of a flatbed because I've run out of charge, or any of these dial things. So really, you shouldn't worry about the infrastructure. If you're on the fence about an EV, go and buy one, or go and try one. You know, go and try one from the EV Centre in Milton Keynes. Go to your car dealership, see if they'll let you have a test drive for a day or two. It's worth having a couple of days at least, so you can feel and understand how this would fit into your lifestyle. If you've got a driveway and a facility to charge at home, brilliant. It's a no-brainer. If you haven't, like me, and I know there's others like me that don't charge at home, then it's possible. In fact, it's more than possible. It's easy. So yeah, hope you found this video useful, helpful. If you're thinking about getting an EV and you're not sure, or you're not sure about charging infrastructure, drop a comment below. More than happy to answer any questions as well. And until next time, thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.